Hello, darling.
Where'd that come from? Hi folks, it's me, Henna. Hey! Hairstyles. So one of the things that can be a hurdle to overcome during transitioning is facial appearance. Yeah. And one of the key influencers of facial appearance is hairstyle. Yep. I'm talking about male to female transitioning, of course. And this video is based on my own experiences. Yours might be different from mine, and that's cool. Yeah. It might not be what you might be thinking. If you're associating long hair with femininity and short hair with masculinity, then you might be surprised.
So stay tuned.
I am planning to show you a bunch of hairstyles that I tried before Miss Wiggers arrived. Some pictures of me with Miss Wiggers. Yeah.
Right, Miss Wiggers? Miss Wiggers is my sweet wig.
So, there are two key aspects to facial appearance. One is the face cut, and two is the hairstyle. Yep. If we imagine this side to be feminine and this side to be masculine, if the face cut of a person is in the feminine range, and the person wants to look feminine, then wearing a hairstyle that pushes the appearance towards the feminine side can help the person look even more feminine. But if the person wants to look a bit more to the center, then wearing a hairstyle that pushes the appearance towards the masculine side can help the appearance approach more in the center area. Yep. So yeah, face cut, and then the hairstyle can either shift the face cut towards the feminine range or shift the face cut towards the masculine range, depending on the hairstyle. Yeah. So when I began my transitioning in 2018, I had a rough idea of what kind of hairstyle I wanted to wear. It wasn't because I had a clear academic understanding of which hairstyle goes with, which kinds of face cuts, but it was more so because of my own feelings of horniness. I had had a few crushes on a few women back in my college days, and they were wearing certain hairstyles, and I was finding those hairstyles to be attractive. Well, it was probably more so because I was finding them to be attractive, and yeah, so that's where my preference towards a specific hairstyle came up at the time. But my preference later changed. So yeah, I had always like found women my age with bangs and shoulder length hair to be really, really attractive. So, yeah, but then when I started my transitioning, and I had a very like receded hairline, so I had to go and get a wig. Um, and when I got my wig, it didn't really turn out the way I was expecting. Um, I wasn't looking like a woman, but instead I was looking even more like a guy. So, anyways, time to show you some pictures. Yeah, ready? Okay, so this is the first picture. This picture was snapped when I was Henry. Currently, Henry loved nuts.
And currently, he wasn't aware that his own pair of nuts would get snipped in less than 7 years from the day of that photograph. Yes, that's right. Yep.
Yes, that's right. Yep. Okay, so in this picture, Henry's giant forehead is visible. And Henry liked to wear short hair. He was trying to be as man as he could be at the time. Yeah, short hair was more convenient for him because his work was involving working with machines and stuff, so less chances of getting tangled in the machinery components and stuff. Yep. So yeah, short hair. And his forehead used to be not that big. When he was like 20 years old, within like a 3-week period, his forehead started itching and his hair went from like being this high to like a couple inches higher within like 3 weeks. So Henry essentially turned from a young man into an old man with receded hair within 3 weeks. Yep. Okay, so a couple of years later in 2018, May, which was a few months prior to my coming out the second time and successful time, I was still closet dressing at the time. I had bought a little dress from a bargain outlet, and I was posing in the at home, kind of like thinking about how like a picture that I could enjoy afterwards.
After my dress-up session, I could just look up the picture and I'd be like, ooh, I look so pretty and cute and adorable.
So yeah. So in this picture, my hairstyle was still guy hairstyle, and what I did was to cover up my receding, forehead. I tried to look down at the camera, so the angle that was receding wasn't too apparent. And with the short hair, it wasn't looking too bad, right? Right. My face at the time had beard shadow because I had not had laser hair removal done at the time. My laser hair removal, the first session started approximately a month from that date. Yep. Okay, next picture. Alright, this picture was in 2018 October. I had successfully come out to my neighbor at my previous apartment, and she gave me a little green dress to wear, and I tried to do a little comb over, to kind of like hide my big giant receding, forehead. And it came out pretty decent actually, I think. Yeah, but there wasn't a lot of hair, and I had a big, like, semi-bald spot in the back. So, yeah. So amazing what a hairstyle can do, right? Right. At that time, I was still dressing up as a man, and in this picture, I was dressed up as a man, and my hairstyle, I kind of had my hairstyle combed in one of my manly ways, and I was back to looking like a man. So yeah, so the two pictures side by side here, different hairstyles, yeah, and different clothing, of course. Yeah, fascinating. Huh? Next picture, 2018 December. So a couple of months prior to my actually starting hormones. So I was still wired as a guy at the time. I had started my laser hair removal. So my face, the beard was going away. And yeah, in this picture, I was trying out a different strategy to hide my receded hairline and my giant forehead by wearing a little headband, and I tried to get my hair to cover the little bald spot in the back. So I was kind of I had my hair like that, and I ended up looking like one of those little trolls, in the 90s. But here in this picture, the hair is still short, right? Right. So, and I wasn't looking too bad either in this short hair. I wasn't understanding why I wasn't looking too bad in the short hair at the time, but I wasn't looking too bad in short hair at the time. Yeah. So this was like a month into my HRT. Remember my neighbor from my last apartment that I came out to the second time? Well, she wanted to buy a wig for me. So back then I wasn't sure where to get wigs and stuff. So she and I went to a local wig store, and she gave me a wig as present. The only thing was the wig was it did not have bangs to cover my forehead. It was just it was a style that showed, the forehead and stuff. I was still new to this transitioning and appearance and stuff at the time. So I was thinking okay, if I put on a wig, I'd look like a woman. But then apparently when I put on the wig, I wasn't looking like a woman. In fact, I was looking like a guy in a wig. And I was like, no, that is when I didn't even feel like stepping outside my apartment, because I was feeling so insecure about my not so, feminine appearance at the time. And the wig, I didn't know what to do. Like, I didn't know how to get my appearance to look feminine. All I knew was I had a wig on, and it was in a feminine haircut, but then I wasn't looking feminine. So I was like, hi.
Hi.
Right. April of 2019. Does this picture look familiar to you? Remember in the beginning of the video, I did a little, what do you call it? The snap action, kind of a little photo slideshow there with a little beat, with my hair waving. Yeah. That day I was in the kitchen and I was facing the window, and the angle of the sunlight was actually coming from like kind of like directly in front and not from the top. It's in front, so it was able to remove a lot of the shadows from my still guy-looking facial appearance. And so in my mind, I could notice like a difference, right? I was like, wow, this is actually looking pretty cool. I was wanting to do the hair waving thing for some reason at the time, and so I did that. I held my camera in like snap action, like and then I just went like so the next month from the last photograph, I was having breakfast at my little dining table with the window behind me, and because of the sunlight coming from the back and not from the top, a lot of my facial curvatures were less visible. And with the facial, crevices and, I was still in guy configuration at the time, so some areas were really, really like, they weren't filled in like they are right now. So some areas were like a little bit recessed. And so with the lighting coming from the back, those recessed areas were gone. They were like, they had just gotten filled in. And so I looked at the picture and I was like, wow, this is pretty cute. And so I snapped this picture. I was wearing a little headscarf at the time. And yeah, I really like this picture at the time. September of 2019. Yep. I had to take a work-related trip, but during the trip, I must have gotten abducted by space aliens while I was in flight, because when I got to the hotel, I was looking like I had attended the Space Aliens Federation's meeting in outer space as a representative of the human race. Yeah, I was looking kind of like there was not an ounce of masculinity. I was like, there was no hair, and I was actually looking quite pretty in a way. Yeah. So I ran out of the bathroom and grabbed my camera and snapped a picture of me. Yep, so the next morning I was feeling really, really excited. I was thinking like, okay, I'm looking really, really cute now. So I ran into the bathroom, brushed my teeth, showered and everything, dressed up, put on my wig. But when I looked in the mirror, I was like, no, I had reverted to looking like a guy again. Side by side, the previous night's picture was no hair, my jawline was visible, my chin was visible, and of course that morning's picture, the hair was like trying to hide the jawline, and I think that's one of the things, right? Right. So trying to hide a strong feature can cause the strong feature to look even stronger.
Because now the strong feature is like, I'm hiding inside.
So, yeah, I think that was probably one of the reasons behind my looking more like a man that morning compared to the night before. Yeah. In November of 2019, I wanted to try a long wig. So I bought a long wig from Amazon, and when I put it on,
Get it off me.
that wig was heavy, it was uncomfortable. On top of that, it was causing my facial appearance to look really, really guy. Well, of course, like I just mentioned just now, it was trying to hide my very strong like jawline, and in the process it was also accentuating my wide chin, right? So yeah, and then there's the receded hairline. It wasn't hiding that at all. So in at least like 3 different areas, it was pushing my face towards the masculine range, really, really hard. Currently, I wasn't feeling very comfortable in that wig. Um, yeah, at least not on that day. Yeah. So the wig that my neighbor from my previous apartment had given me was getting bunched up, and it was no longer wearable. So I figured I should try something new. So I did. I went into the bathroom and gave myself a haircut. And the way I did it was I shaved off one side and I cut the rest short and really even in the back, like even tapered towards the bottom. And I was like, wow, this hairstyle seems to be bringing out like my facial features in a feminine way. Yeah, I wasn't sure why at the time, but now looking at it in retrospect, well, the hairstyle wasn't covering my big jawline, and it wasn't covering my chin, and it wasn't covering the rest of the features. So everything was looking naturally balanced, and it was just working with the natural balance of things. So it wasn't trying to cover things or change things. It was just naturally working with the natural appearance. And so I was like, wow, that's really, really cool. Of course, at the time, my hormones were beginning to take effect in terms of appearance, and they were kind of helping some areas of my face, like fill in and stuff, yeah, into more like feminine configuration. It enters the year 2021, Henna's period of sexy wigs. Yeah. So in March of 2021, I invested in a set of sexy wig stands. Well, the wig stands arrived, and since I was shaven bald at the time, I figured I'd pose with the wig stands. So I did. Ta-da! Can you tell which one is Henna? About that time in 2021, I had found a wig with bangs. It was also shoulder length, long, and I was wearing it. But then one day, when I parked Star in the parking lot, I looked at myself in the mirror, and I found that I had turned into cuddly Henna. Yeah. So I whipped out my phone and I snapped a picture of me, a little selfie. I wasn't sure why, but yeah, I was looking quite cuddly at the time. Yeah. During that month, in that same week, I snapped a couple more selfies. And I wasn't looking as cuddly, but I was looking like very, like without a doubt, in the feminine range. So when I was wearing that wig, I wasn't trying to hide my jawline. So my jawlines were visible. Maybe that was part of the reason, and the other reason was it kind of helped cover up my receded hairline. So during that month, in March, there was another wig I found. It was long, it was curly, and it had bangs. The thing was, with long hair, it was covering the sides of my face, and it was trying to conceal my big, strong jawlines. So I was experiencing similar issue that I was experiencing with the wig that my old neighbor from my previous apartment had given me, where the wig was actually like accentuating my facial features in a way that they were looking more masculine and less feminine. I tried to find different lighting angles, to kind of like remove the shadow, of the wig on the jaw and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. It was not like I could just go outside and know for sure that I wasn't looking masculine. It was like I was having to find like just a just the proper lighting angle to get my face to look less masculine in that wig. Yep. And I did find a few angles. So I snapped a few selfies. This selfie was from March 29 of 2021. You've probably seen this picture before in one of my prior videos. It's titled Zombie Girl because it's kind of how I was feeling at the time. I was like, something like that. In April of 2021, Miss Wiggers arrived home. She's synthetic in material, but when I put her on my head, there was a soothing feeling about her, and she didn't feel like synthetic. And over the next couple of years, there are some things about her. She also grew longer, and I had to trim her a little bit. She's not like any of the other wigs that I had tried before, and the other wigs, they just bunched up, or they fell apart or something like that, and they were no longer wearable. But Miss Wiggers is still, yeah, she's still beautiful, just like on day one. She doesn't feel like a wig. Yeah. So yeah, there was an aura about her. It was so clean and so beautiful and so warm and so cuddly. Yeah. The very next day of Miss Wiggers' arrival, I posed a selfie with Miss Wiggers, and I was like, wow, this is really, really cool. Feelings of insecurity and stuff just vanished, just like that. Yeah. So yeah. Yep. And of course, I snapped a few more selfies with Miss Wiggers. My sweet, sweet, sweet. Yeah. What do you think? You're welcome to leave a comment in the comment section below. I'd be curious to know. Fascinating, huh? As you might have already figured out at this time, there are many, many different hairstyles out there. Some are long, some are short, some are spiky, some are missing a section. Yeah, there are different options out there. Some hairstyles can get the facial appearance to look more masculine, and some hairstyles can get facial appearance to look more feminine. Later.